Erica met with Beyond Stillness 12 times to articulate and publicly share this story of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope.
Welcome to Beyond Stillness. Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and the tax-deductible donations of generous listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors through stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope. Visit www.beyondstillness.org or click the donation button in the episode description to sponsor a guest on their reflective story crafting journey.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Today we meet a woman whose life was defined by constant motion. Conference to conference, idea to idea, achievement to achievement. She traveled with a car full of plans and a calendar full of purpose, moving through her days on autopilot, while her consciousness slipped between the present moment and endless to-do lists. But her body was already trying to tell her something. When her legs stopped working in the driveway, everything she'd been running toward suddenly stopped. In the hospital, drifting between consciousness and somewhere far beyond, she experienced something unexpected. Her wedding day, replayed in slow motion. Her first classroom, vivid and full of color. Moments she'd lived too fast, now given back to her to truly see. And in a rehab hallway, shuffling 60 small steps in pink hospital socks. While holding a walker like her life depended on it, she discovered what it means to stop making life happen, to start participating in it with presence, trust, and faith. Thank you for joining us for part 2, Erica Bartley's interview. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Beyond Stillness offers a moment of pause for storytelling and reflection. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. Today we begin with a moment of pause to honor the way that wisdom emerges through recovery. And we give thanks. Now, Erica Bartley's interview. Erica, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes, every day is a journey. Every day gets a little bit better. There are some days that are more challenging than others, but it's great to see the better days are more often than the challenging days. So that's always a great thing.
Yeah. What are the challenges these days?
Wanting to pick up a pencil and write with my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So just recently I had my follow-up with the doctor. And so I'm going back to therapy, going back to occupational therapy and physical therapy in hopes that this right hand can function the way I would like it to function.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take little things for granted, like writing a letter out. I used to love to write. I still love to write, want to write. And then just being okay with I survived this. It's so many people that meet me, and when I say, yeah, I suffered a stroke last year, they're like, what? No, you don't look like it. And I find hope in that struggle. And sometimes I can't believe that I went through that, but other times I'm grateful I did because it changed a lot of things for me. It put a lot of things into perspective. Things that I thought were important aren't necessarily that important. Things that I was chasing, things that I felt that I have to have this, I have to do this. It's not as important as it is to have life. So that was a huge lesson for me, not only to learn, but to live and experience.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's important to you now?
Living, breathing, simple things. And sometimes I have to remind myself that simple things are okay. Simple things are what makes the days greater. And I mentioned to you in our earlier conversation the first time I took a deep breath and I just kept taking it because I couldn't believe I could breathe again. And so having more moments like that, having more moments to stop and look up at the clouds, having more moments to realize that I'm not just existing, I'm living,
Mm.
not in a dream world, but this is reality and
Yeah.
I'm okay with reality.
You said that there are more good days than not now.
Hmm.
Will you speak to the days that are more challenging and how you get from the days that are more challenging for you to what you were just saying about stopping and looking at clouds and breathing?
Yeah. I think one of my things that I am very type A. I have to be, I don't want to say in control, but I like to oversee. We'll use that word. I like to oversee a lot. I like that word. And in my mind, I feel like I can pretty much do everything until I'm doing something that causes me to hold something in my right hand or causes me to catch myself because I'm off balance or move a certain way and realize, wait a minute, you can't move that way. You can, but you have to be careful. And I think those are just little caution. I think of it as little caution tape, just to say, hey, wait a minute, it's my yellow light.
Yeah.
It's my yellow light slowing me down. And at first, I want to think it's a challenge, but then I'm like, you know what? If my hand shakes, I'm living. I'm okay.
Mm.
If I stumble a little bit, I'm able to walk. Because I remember it was a time that I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk without a team of people around me, without support, without a walker, without a wheelchair. And so I'll take that. And
Mm.
I think that allows me to take that pause and allows me to not only overcome the challenge, but face it. You
Mm.
know what? This is a result of what I've gone through, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hinder me. I just have to think of a different route to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like a uplifting and a hopeful way to look at
Yeah.
it, but you
Yeah.
also said realistic, and it is a realistic
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to realize how far we've come and to think about the early days after the stroke and
Yeah.
then also where we are now. And today might be really frustrating. A stumble might be painful, whether it be physically or emotionally, but the ability to look back
Mhm.
and then also to be in the moment, like what you're saying right now, like
Yeah.
looking at the clouds and taking the breath. Towards the beginning of your story, you offered a lot of internal thoughts, your inclinations and your naggings. Some people might call it intuition. You also offered some physical signs, and you chose to push ahead.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of your story, you had a different relationship with your inner life.
Mhm.
Will you speak to that, how that evolved?
Yeah. I used to ignore my inner self a lot and I would misconstrue it with, oh, that's just doubt. That's just the enemy talking. I don't need to listen to that. I categorized it how I wanted to, so I could interpret what I wanted out of it. And I think back on before I had the stroke, And the many, many, many times I could have gone to the doctor being afraid of going to the emergency room, times when I just could not breathe. And my husband was like, "No, we're going to the emergency room." I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'll just do it on my breathing machine. I'll just do this." I knew something was wrong with me. And common sense, ignoring things that are going to help you is not a bad thing. And I was looking at it as if that internal voice was a hindrance
Mm.
because I felt like my mission wasn't aligned to what God's mission was for me. And the path that I wanted to take, he was like, "Nope, I'm in control. I'm gonna let you sit this one out for a second while I handle everything." So fast forward, being able to listen and accept the internal thoughts is something that I've learned, something that has become valuable to me, something that slows me down, something that's very beneficial
Mm.
because I didn't always slow down like that prior to. I was always go, 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 go. What's the next? What's the next? I did this. All right, cross it off the list. What's next? Just because I thought I had to do that.
Yeah.
And the stroke taught me or showed me that it's okay that your body takes a break. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the break that I would have wanted, right? It's okay. And you have people around you that love you, that care about you, that won't let you fail. Because I think one of the biggest things as a woman that I feel is I don't want to ever fail or become a failure at anything. I believe sometimes I feel like I'm in control of what failure or success looks like, but I'm really not. I like to think that way, but I'm not. So throughout this process, learning to lean on people, I'm always the one filling other people's buckets. And I think we talked about that. So allowing people to take care of me, to love on me, and to pour into me was something new. I kept fighting it, like, "No, I can do it," while I'm falling down, like, "Okay, Erica, just chill out. They got this. It's okay. You can relinquish control. It's alright."
You touched upon that with your relationship with your husband.
Yes.
How did that relationship strengthen as you
Oh,
released your
wow.
independence?
It strengthened a lot. He's seen vulnerable moments I've had, but to actually see me vulnerable, it actually brought us together
Huh.
even closer. We've always been close. We were always the best of friends before we got married. And allowing him to see something that he's never really seen in my world, because I've always had on my superwoman cape around him and, would never let him see me cry, even though he's my kryptonite. Would never let him, see me in that state. And I'm not hiding or just, hey, this is who I am right now. This is it. And I think that allowed him to save the day. I don't mean to sound in such a cliche way, but it allowed him to rescue me.
Mm.
And I've always been the rock. And for him to be like, "You know what? No, it's my turn. You sit down." It's many times we would have, like silly little arguments about, "No, I'm gonna walk. Why are you walking to the kitchen? You can't walk. No, you need to have your rollator. No, I don't need my rollator. Yes, you do." Because again, I'm not gonna let this defeat me, but he's looking like, "Okay, when are you gonna stop and just, when you're ready, here's your rollator. Just roll in the kitchen. I'm gonna walk by you. I'm not gonna let you fall." It was his responsibility. We laugh on it today. We laugh at those moments. I think those moments strengthened our marriage. I really do. And to have a person that you love and a person that loves you to go through this with you. A parent's love is great. I was blessed to have my parents, my brothers, my cousins, my aunts. I was blessed to have that. But to have my husband here 24/7, 365, that was truly a blessing because in the state that I was in, there were so many options. You could have said, "Hey, I don't want to deal with this," or "I can't." He could have shut down,
Yeah.
but I'm grateful. He said, "Hey, we're going through this together," and he always told me that. He still tells me that, "Hey, it's us. We're going through this together. We're gonna get through this," and I think that gave me the reassurance that I needed.
Mm. A lot of relationships post-stroke struggle,
Mhm.
and they're just roles that we play naturally in relationship, and
Yeah.
it sounds like you were very independent and you got things
Mhm.
done, and you very easily just mentioned, had to be vulnerable." How do you suggest somebody who is recovering from a stroke
Mhm.
and has been the go-getter in the relationship and is struggling to be vulnerable or let somebody else step up? Or maybe sometimes people say they bear guilt. What would your wisdom be on that?
I would say for me, the biggest thing that helped me was my conversations that I had with the psychologist
Mhm,
and knowing that there is a psychology behind something very traumatic medically. And it's okay. I think for me, my biggest struggle was being okay with what happened to me
mm,
because I often blamed myself that I was the reason that I'm in this position, and learning how to take away the stigma of blame. And it's not anyone's fault. It just happened. Having that conversation and talking out loud and saying, "This happened," was a big step for me.
mhm.
No matter how many degrees I have, how many certifications or whatever I did, it just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. And I had to be okay with it happening. And I wasn't always okay with it. But once I realized through that conversation, it was okay. And I also communicated that to my husband. Hey, this happened to me. I did struggle with it. I thought I was this big, strong person, and all of a sudden I'm this weak little thing. Your ego gets a little bruised. You're
Yeah.
like, no, I don't dust myself off. I'm always on top. I think the acceptance is the biggest part. And that would be my advice to anyone that's struggling with that. Accept it. It's okay to accept it. It's okay that it happened, but what's more important is once you realize what happened, now what are we gonna do about it?
It's really hard to accept.
Mhm.
And my follow-up question to that is how? But you answered that by saying, now what?
Yeah.
This happened. Now what? What can
Yeah.
we do?
You have a choice. I could have sat in the bed, let atrophy sit in. I could have felt sorry for myself and would have been far worse off than what I am today. I think I shared with you the time the nurses wanted me to get up out the bed, and I'm like, no, lay in my bed.
Mm,
No. But I'm glad I got up in that moment because that brought me a step closer to my recovery. And
mm,
it's hard. It's hard to accept it. It's hard to verbalize it. It's hard to tell your partner, your love of your life, or your mate, I don't know. I can't help. I
mm,
can't do this. That was the hardest part for me to say, I just can't. I can't do it. When I was always used to saying, I can do this and
yeah.
yeah, I can do that. But some days I just did not have it in me and I couldn't. But it was okay. I know people say this a lot, but it was okay not being okay.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was okay not being okay. But it was tough accepting it. I will say that. It was very tough. Um, it was very tough. It was very tough. But it's what you do afterwards. It's those times when you don't feel like getting up and going to therapy. It's the times where you don't want to do those exercises, or you don't want to put the little weights on your wrist and lift your hands up in the air and see if they don't shake. It's those times that you push through that really make the recovery, for me, it made it meaningful. I think I shared with you as well that I gave away that wheelchair, I gave away that shower chair, I gave away that rollator, and that was a milestone for me. That was something huge for me. And yeah, it was like I closed that chapter. I closed it.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to write a new one. Yeah.
What's that look like?
I don't know. I like this writing as I go. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was intrigued in the story when you talked about being in the hospital. This is when you were unconscious. You said, my mother was there holding my hand. I remember her whispering. Her words pulled me back into that physical space, the hospital room, life on earth. And then you shared flashes of scenes from throughout your life. And you said, I was not reliving, but I was living those moments. So how does that inform your life moving forward?
My advice to myself lately has been live in the moment and not be of the moment. I think about those flashbacks a lot that I had in the hospital and how vivid they were. And knowing or feeling that I missed that. I missed that opportunity to actually be in the moment and live in that moment. And as I go about through life today, the times that I spend with my husband, whether we're like sitting by the fire with him and just having a conversation and being present and shutting my mind off and not just being there and he's talking at me, that we're actually interacting and I'm talking to him and I'm not thinking about my calendar. I'm not thinking about what I have to do day after tomorrow, what I have to do tomorrow in the morning, what I have to do when I go in the house. Being present. And I think for me, that's huge. That's huge because in my profession as an educator, as a principal, it was always like, what's next? What's next? What's next? I'm always having to come up with a solution even before I knew the problem and always having to be ready. But having that moment to just sit in it and experience it. And that's a, oh my gosh, that's a wonderful thing. That's a great thing. It's a great feeling.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
It amazes me that you remember when you were unconscious. What did it feel like there, hearing the voices?
It felt like I was hovering. It felt like I was above my body. But I was there. I know that sounds so conflicting. So it felt as if I knew I was laying in a hospital bed. It was like I could see myself laying in the hospital bed and I could see who was in my hospital room. I could see my mom and my dad and my brother and my husband and friends. I could see faces, but my body was like hovering, my spirit was hovering over my body. And the more love, the more prayers that sent up, my body just, I say my spirit, but my being lowered down, kept lowering down until it returned to my actual physical body. And I could see that. I saw that. Um, and ooh, I got chills. Um, that was different. That was really different. That was really different. Mm, that was very different.
The way that you're talking about it, you said, I know it doesn't make sense, but I was there in that moment. I could see the faces.
Mm,
I was there. I could feel. So you were feeling, you were seeing,
yeah,
but you also were hovering above.
yeah,
And then a lot of times with spiritual traditions, things don't make sense and
no,
they're
they don't. They don't. Yeah.
contradictions. And sometimes we just have this feel.
Hmm.
So thank you for talking with me about the feel of the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that later in your story, loop back around to what it felt like to actually relive, but live that moment. And in
Yeah.
your story, you talked about seeing your house for the first time since your
Mhm.
stroke and just sitting there and looking at every detail
Mhm.
and being amazed.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you remind yourself of those moments now that you're a year and a half post stroke?
Oh, wow. It feels like so long ago, but it wasn't that long. I'm sorry. Sorry. It took me there. I think that goes back to what I said earlier about the little things.
Hmm.
We say we love people. We say we're creating memories. We're making those special moments. But are we really doing it?
Hmm.
And being intentional about that time, being intentional about the time that I spent with my husband. How did his face look by the fire? What was our body language? What was our conversation? Were we laughing? Were we smiling? Were we smirking at things? I think paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
Just when I walked into my house for the first time, noticing the brick on the stairs that led up to the patio and the furniture there and the cobweb was there because the spiders were there. Just noticing those little things and noticing the hummingbirds in the back grotto that love the red lilies that pop up and the butterflies that were flying and just thinking about, I wonder what that butterfly's thinking about. I wonder, like, what's the metabolism for that hummingbird? Like, letting your mind wander
Yeah.
and
Wow.
being okay with your mind wandering and
Mhm.
seeing my dogs for the first time and they're sniffing and licking on me like, oh, we know her. Just the details. Just the details. Yeah.
Erica, I am very grateful for our conversation over the past few months.
Yeah.
I love the way that you focus in on the details, but you also look from afar.
Mm.
You step back. Uh, I'm grateful for the way that you've talked about faith and your
Yes.
journey and your relationships also. So thank you for taking time to reflect, to craft your story, and ultimately to share it with our community.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure and it was a form of therapy. It allowed me to talk about things that I didn't talk about. It allowed me to reflect, to process, and to have a great listening ear and the questions that you posed. And it made me pause. It made me think. It made me really go back to the moments, even though they were there. But I wasn't examining them in the way that our conversations led me to examine that. So I thank you for that. That was awesome. I really do. And I thank you for the work that you're doing. I thank you for allowing people to share their stories, because that's how we get better. That's how we strengthen this community, by sharing and telling our experiences and knowing that we all have a story to share and someone is willing to listen.
Erica, you're so well spoken. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mayor. Of course.
I really hope to see you at some of the storyteller and listener
Well, if
gatherings.
you need to make myself available, yes, ma'am. All right, Molly.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Storytelling empowers us to share our experiences in a way that invites others to reflect on their own. Here's a prompt to spark dialogue with yourself and others. What does sleepwalking through life mean to you? And what helps you stay present and aware now? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or now YouTube at Stories After Stroke. Links are in the episode description. Thank you for listening to Part 2, Erica Bartley's interview. For the full story, please listen to Part 1, Erica Bartley's story. Remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review so that others can find these intentional stories too. To learn more about our nonprofit organizations, programs, and services, please visit www.beyondstillness.org or find the link in our episode description. Together, we empower stroke survivors to articulate and publicly share their stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Help us continue empowering stroke survivors through our reflective story crafting and sharing process. Supporting this work with your tax-deductible donation makes a real difference. Visit www.beyondstillness.org or click the donate button in this episode's link. Consider sponsoring a guest on their story crafting journey and be a part of our growing community of purpose, connection, and hope.